All right, here is our trusty monthly budget template that we work with every single month. We set up our budget using column C. This is what we plan for everything that is in column B here with all of our category. Each of our categories is in column A. Then we have our line item details within each category. And then C is what we plan. So then everything to the right there, starting here, everything off to the right is what actually happened. So we track throughout the month, and then I actually have a whole bunch of things going on the right side, way outside of the visual here, that show all of our different transactions that end up populating over here in the spreadsheet. So we use this every single month, and like I said, in previous videos, I've mentioned this template is available for sale anytime. I have it in both Microsoft Excel and Google Sheets. This is Google Sheets. And they're in both formats, available in my Etsy shop, which I always include a link in the description box below. So let's just take a look and see how we did. So we start with income. So all of our income populates here, and then for our salaries, and then I put our rental income in here. Those then, our salaries and our rental income, all populate over here. All the rest of the lines, skipping past sinking fund and emergency funds, all the rest of the lines are things that get added if we have additional income that comes in. So we block out the details of our salaries, but we have no problem with sharing our totals to be as transparent as possible. And, we want to know what's happening. And so when you look here, we had on sinking funds, we planned on using 1,850. We actually didn't use all of that. It was only 1,470. We didn't use anything out of the emergency fund. And then we had some FSA reimbursements come in. So for over-the-counter drugs and first aid and things like that, those are all reimbursable items that you don't necessarily have to get through an actual pharmacist, like at a pharmacy. Things that I do in our Walmart orders, like antacids, and if we have to get Band-Aids or first aid cream or something like that. So all of those things are reimbursable. So towards the end of our plan year, which ended on June 30th, I go in and look at all of my Walmart receipts for the year, and I submit everything for reimbursement, and we had $102. So that's what that was. Henry ended up giving us 68. He bought a new phone, and so that resulted in some transactions on our monthly bill. And so anyway, he only ended up having to give us $68 for that. This tax refund is going to be important when we get down to the debt section, because it had an impact on something that was a very pleasant impact, I should say. So we'll talk about that when we get to it. And then we had additional student loans come in. And so that brought our total to $13,571 was the total that we had to work with for the month, which you can see is a little bit higher than what we planned. In giving, we planned on doing 150, but we ended up doing a bunch of that actually in May, and so that's why it reflects that we didn't do as much this month. In housing, we came in right on track. We had $2,725 for our mortgage, and there's 2 mortgages. And utilities, our monthly utilities for here were $261. No quarterly city utilities due, so that's water, garbage, sewer. And then our internet was $122. Our mobile services were $153, bringing our total to $3,262. So we were right on target. In transportation, we used $296 for gas, $24 for OnStar, and we ended up with $145. It wasn't actually repairs. It was we had our car detail that had not been done in some time. We were going on a family trip, and we wanted to make sure that everything was cleaned out. It had been a while. So $466 was our total here, which is obviously over what we planned, but we had this in a sinking fund, so it was no big issue. In food, once again, it's like last month we did great and we only spent $500, and then we overcompensated in June and we just used all that up that we were under. So $943 for groceries, $336 for dining. That brings our total to $1,279, which you can see is more than $450 over what we planned. And this kind of thing impacts all of our other goals: paying down debt, saving. whether it be short-term saving, long-term saving, whatever. This has been our biggest obstacle. We ourselves are our own biggest obstacles. So this continues to happen. For kiddos, we didn't have any expenses. We didn't plan on any, and we didn't have any. So we were on target with that, at least. In pets, we spent $98 on food and only $5 on grooming, and I'm not sure why that doesn't reflect $25. I'll have to check on that. Meds, we didn't have anything, $194 in other supplies. So I actually threw in, there was $150 in boarding for Uther that we had to account for. So that is where that was coming from, and that brought our total to $298, which is over by $138. We did have some money in a sinking fund to help cover that. So insurance was pretty much right on target. We actually came in a little bit under. So accident was $35. Our auto insurance is due every 6 months, and we paid $1,022. $74 for critical illness, $23 for dental, $40 for hospital indemnity, $12 for identity theft, $15 for legal, $92 for life, $60 for Matt's union dues because it's not insurance, but I have no idea where else to put it. So this is where I put it. $467 for medical, $54.78 for pet insurance, and $62 for short-term disability, bringing our total to $1,961, which was just a little bit under. Next up is entertainment, and we spent $36 on streaming, $4 on HP Inc., $10 at Cinemark, and $33 on family entertainment, bringing the total to $85, which was just a little bit over what, oh, whoops, actually it's more than a little bit over. Let me get that in there. There we go. It was $40 over what we planned. In health, these are general health expenses that we have. So I put our flexible spending account in here because these are deductions. This is a benefit through our employers. We both have it, and they're deductions out of our paychecks, but it is not insurance. It is for the things that you have to pay for after insurance or when insurance doesn't apply at all. So it's pre-tax dollars to pay for all the things we'd have to pay for anyway. So we put $514 into those accounts this month, $33 to the gym, and then $49 in additional healthcare expenses that weren't covered by our insurance. So that brought the total to $597, which is right where we planned to land. In extra, we planned on some yard and garden. Tis the season. Every month, like from March to like September, we are spending something on yard and garden, and we now have 2 homes that we're doing that for. Our daughter is living in our old home, and she has the garden over there. So we have some expenses here, but really a lot more of them are over there because she is a major green thumb and is just going crazy. She just added another plot in the yard. We're just so proud of her. She has done some really awesome things, and we're coming into canning season. So that means that we have expenses for yard and garden every month throughout the spring and summer. So $63 is what we spent. We had $520 on travel. We did not end up doing the garage door opener. We will get that done before the winter hits. But June was a very busy month, and Matt is hoping to install that himself, and he wants to make sure he has plenty of time to do that. Image Cosmetics was $26. That was for Matt to get a hair and beard trim. And then I had to buy a new keyboard. I had to buy a new keyboard because my keyboard here at home is mine. It's not from my company. It's my own. And the reason why it was $70 is because I have to have an ergonomic keyboard. Okay. And I say I have to because I have a condition in my left hand that if I'm typing on a regular keyboard where your hands are like this, let me get towards the camera, where your hands are square like this, then it activates this tenosynovitis, I think is what it's called. It's been many years since I've had issues because as soon as I got an ergonomic keyboard at work, I stopped having to wear, it took a few months, but I stopped having to wear the brace. I had to wear a brace all the time at work. So anyhow, it's worth the $70 to not have to wear a brace anytime I'm sitting in front of a computer. So anyhow, $680 was the total, which was a little bit under what we originally planned, which I don't have all the formulas in here. Here we go. So it was 170 under what we originally planned. In miscellaneous, we had $83 in personal spending, 117 on household, and 326 on all other miscellaneous. Again, you know, here we are $200 plus over, and 217 total over in this category. And this is another one that this and food are what kill our financial goals. And I'm so sorry Uther is barking if you can hear that. He's downstairs. I have the door closed. He's downstairs in a house with all wood floors, so it carries. So I apologize if that's very distracting. Anyhow, 527 for miscellaneous, we're 217 over. All right, before we jump into savings and sinking funds and all the what I think are the really fun things, I want to just mention again that this template, if you're interested in it, it is available on Etsy. Along with, I have debt and savings trackers out there, and I have not talked about those much for quite some time, but if you are interested in checking in having those kinds of things, if you are a person who, if you have a piece of paper that you're able to track your progress on it, and it's coloring and icons and things like that, if that is you, I have some really awesome debt and savings and like rainy day fund type things, right? So just check them out in my Etsy shop. The link is down below. So getting back to the spreadsheet, we have our savings section. So we put $200 to the emergency fund, $50 into investments, $100 into college savings, $611 into retirement, and that brought our total to $961, which was right on target. And if you look here, you can see we are sitting at $4,851 is our balance in our emergency fund. We are trying to build that up slowly but surely, while we're also trying to pay down debt and save for our future. So, and save for short-term things. So many things going on all at once. The investments, college savings, and retirement, what I do with those is not reflective of the balances at all. What I do with those is I reset them to 0 at the beginning of every calendar year so I can see how much we've put in. So far this year, we've put 334 into investments, 525 into college savings, and 3,447 into retirement. And that doesn't count. I get a match for every dollar that I put in. I get 25 cents from my employer. So that doesn't include that number, which would increase our balance even more. And so let me just say, I am fully aware that the activity in the market will impact whether or not our balance goes up or not. Right now, it's not going up. So I will acknowledge that. But we're still continuing to contribute because we're in this for the long haul. So we haven't changed our strategy because of what's happening in the markets right now. All right, in sinking funds, we have a bunch of them. If you're new here, let me just explain a little bit here. Matt and I are both spenders, and we are terrible with money. And you saw that in the food and the miscellaneous sections up above. And so sinking funds are one of the ways that I can make sure that we have money for the things that come up, whether we know they're coming, but they're not, you know, all the time, like auto insurance, the very first thing. It's only once every 6 months. We need to make sure that we have that money in place. Or if it's for more of the disposable spending type things where we just want to make sure that we have some money in case we need it, or because we know we're going to want to do some family entertainment things. So let's save a little bit every month so that we have a little bit sitting there when the time comes. So we have a number of them here. So in auto insurance, we put in 170. Auto registrations, we put in 60. For Bug, that's our granddaughter, we did not put anything in for that. For business travel, we did 15. That's so Matt works for the state. And if he has to travel for work, he has to pay out of pocket and then submit for a reimbursement. So essentially it ends up costing us nothing, but we do want to have the money there in the event that he does actually have to travel so that it doesn't affect our budget that month. So we put a little bit aside every month. In city utilities, we put in 150. And in clothing, we put in 35, nothing to entertainment since we spent it up above. Estate planning, we put in 20, nothing to gifts. Healthcare, we did 25, 33 to Henry. And we're capping him out at 450 here. So we won't be putting anything else in here. I don't think it's rare I've had to take anything out here. It's just in case anything comes up with him that we need that is unexpected. I don't know, even medical bills and things like that. If a big medical bill came that our FSA didn't cover for some reason, then we would have some money set aside if that were to be an issue. Holidays, we did 100. Home maintenance, we did 150. Image cosmetics, we did 45. Life insurance, we did 81. Move for debt payoff, we didn't put anything in there. Nothing to online subscriptions. Pet expense, we did nothing. Technology, we did 50. Vacation, we put nothing in. Vehicles, we put in 150. Wedding anniversary, we put in 20. And Xanthi, we put in 24. And that caps her out at 700. So if you look here, and I know my picture's over these, we have varying balances. They're all pretty small. This one gets pretty big when, it was pretty big before I had to pull money out of it, right? So it was sitting at over $1,000. But for the most part, they're all pretty small. Just a couple hundred, a few $100s so that we have it in case we need it. The total of all of our sinking funds comes to $8,547. You can see where we used 300 from the vacation fund and 145 from the vehicles fund for some things. We had the travel and we ended up doing the detailing on the car. That's what I'm trying to say. So we did pull out some money. A total with the auto insurance was $1,470, which if you recall, that populates up in the top in the income section. So we can have that as part of our, okay, this is what we're using to pay for things this month. So at the end of the month, we had $8,547 sitting in our sinking funds. And finally, we're at our debt section. So our debts, we have so many that we have it broken into 3 different subsections. So the first section shows all of the debts that have been paid off, and those are 100% in the rearview mirror. We don't need to deal with them anymore. They total $56,854, and the ones in pink are the ones that have my name on them, and the ones that are in black have only Matt's name on them. So there is 1 or 2 of the pink ones that also have Matt's name on them, but his point was he wanted to separate his from everything else when we started this whole thing back in 2018. And so the only way that I knew to do that was to change the font. So pink for me and black for Matt. The next section is the charged off or in collections section. They total $5,476. You'll see they're all black. They're all old credit cards of Matt's. And so they are all sitting out there. There's no interest accruing on them. The original owners of the debt no longer have them. They're with other firms and that kind of thing. And so this is part of what Matt asked me to do, and he continues to ask me to do, and that is focus on the things that are on my name other than the things that we have to do that are in his name. We don't have to do these right now, so we've set them aside. We will deal with them later. So now, and some of those over time, some of those will move down into the actively paying, which is our final section. We have $155,035 in the actively paying section. And so when you look here, these are all the things we're actively paying on. You see there's a mix between what has Matt's name on it versus what has mine. But some of these things like this one and this one, they were originally up here in the charged off section, but the company that bought them went and got a law firm, and there was a lawsuit. And so Matt went ahead and set up a payment plan because we didn't have enough at the time, excuse me, to pay off the debt at that point, or settle it, excuse me. And that's what we have done typically on these where we can, is like when we get a tax refund or if we get a year-end bonus, we try to use that to pay off one of these. And so anyway, let's just run through our actively paying. So child support 456 is what we planned. We paid $574. And remember, I mentioned that $118 up above that was a tax refund. I'd gotten locked out of the child support account online, and it's really difficult to get back in. And so I hadn't looked at it for several months, and but we were getting close to paying one off. And so I wanted to see what was out there. So we finally, just Friday or Saturday, finally the letter came with the information we needed to get back in. So we got back in, and I saw that they did take Matt's Illinois state tax return, refund, and apply it to this child support. So I added that $118 in here, which increased. It was actually back in May that they did this, but I'm trying to account for it here. So I accounted for it coming in and I accounted for us using it. So $574 is the total that I'm showing has posted to this account. And so that's how we got to that. And then we have $90 to this credit card, $80 to this one, $91 to another child support, and then we have $50 to, this is the one collections item that I have on my credit report. And it is, I've been on a payment plan with them since 2018, and I was paying $25 a month, but I've changed it to $50. So we paid $50 to the UAS student loan. That's the private student loan that both Matt and I have our names on it. Car payment is $550. HELOC is $205. This is a Visa card. We paid $300 to it. Nothing to graduate student loans, $300 to the family loan, nothing to undergraduate student loans. And that brought our total to $2,292, which is $143 more than we originally planned. And I don't think I ever went and verified. This might be off by a few cents, but we hit negative on, that's the thing about this, having this extra 118. We actually ended up paying off this child support with Matt's with his last June paycheck, which we thought wasn't going to happen till his first June or July paycheck. So it got paid off pay period early. So it's at negative 56 now. And so what's going to happen is they are going to, they'll probably end up taking out one more deduction before they realize, oh, this one's done and we need to stop this. And then they'll do a refund back to us. So this one is at officially at 0, but we are leaving it here because of the fact that we know there's still going to be activity on it in July and maybe even going into August. So we have $801 left on this credit card, $1,300 left on this credit card, $2,138 left on this child support, which will be the last of the 3 that he was paying, $2,395 left on this credit card, and then $4,874 for the private student loan, $8,424 for the car payment. At this point, we're paying down about $510 a month, maybe a little more. So, we're making fast progress, even using just this is a little bit higher than the minimum payment. We've been paying it since day one. And then $13,496 to the HELOC, $14,236 for this card, $17,084 for the student loans, $38,700 for the family loan, and $51,631 for these student loans, brings our total to $160,512 is what is remaining. And if we go down here and look at totals for the month, before we get into this stuff, let's go over here. Total expenses were $13,570. Total income was $13,571, which means we were under by a little over $1. No problem. We just leave it there. And you go over here and look here. I have changed this up a little bit and added a little bit more information to be transparent for me as much as for you. But it was important when, I'm so sorry for Uther barking. It was important that I be able to see this. I did a debt update. It was our debt confession 2022 video back in April or maybe early May of 2022. And when I did that, I had to update everything. And I was like, I need to be able to see where we started, which the original debt was $255,493. Over time, we either found additional debt that I hadn't gotten to. I just needed to get started. In February of 2018, things were a mess, not just financially, but our lives were upside down. And this was one thing I could get control over. And I got to a certain point and I'm like, we just have to start. None of this, it doesn't have to be perfect. I just have to start or I will never get started. So we found other debts that we had not, like we knew they were floating out there and we just had to get our arms around them. So some of this new non-mortgage debt is that, and there's several $1,000s of that, probably 15,000 of this anyway. But then there's additional debt like the student loans, the graduate student loans. That's all new. That's all new. And this Marriott card, that's new because we originally paid that off with the HELOC. and then I charged it up again. And I talked about that on previous videos. I won't go into all of that here, but that's where a lot of this $43,217 in new debt is coming from. And it's new, meaning new since February 1st of 2018. So over the course of 4 years, since we started with this 255, right? That brings our total debt to $298,711 is the total non-mortgage debt that we need to pay off. And we paid off this month $1,932. When you take into account the interest that we had to pay, the amount that we actually killed off that's gone is $1,932. And our total paid to date is $138,198. So we are slowly but surely moving through. I mean, this looks like a big number now, but we've been at this for over 4 years. So, you know, it's taken all forms and shapes over time. We've had some really big wins. We've had some things that have just gone our way. Like they dropped $16,000 in the interest that Matt owed for child support. That definitely helped us take a jump in 2021. But we've also made a lot of mistakes. And so if you're watching this and you're thinking, oh my gosh, I could never imagine. I mean, maybe your debt is only half of that and you're feeling overwhelmed, or even less and you're feeling overwhelmed. It's all relative. We are high income earners. So we have, you know, the fact that we have high debt is, you know, just because you have a lot of money doesn't mean that you won't make mistakes with it. And we are the perfect example of that. And $138,000 seems like a lot of money. $160,000 is even more. And we still have that to go. So we try not to beat ourselves up. I'm super proud of $138,000, but I don't want $138,000 to be something that makes you feel like you could, like, overwhelmed, right? It's all relative. You have to do the right things more often than not. That's how you win. If you can do it a whole lot more often than not, do the right things a whole lot more often than you don't, then you'll get through this a lot faster. We have not been gazelle intense at all, and we are going very slowly. And so here we are sitting with still $160,000 plus in debt. But I'm super proud of us because we have paid off $138,000. And so we don't have to deal with that anymore. If we can stay away from the credit cards and stop this spending spiral that we've been on, we will be in a much better position to get some traction. And it's not just that. I just turned 50. I just turned 50 in June, and we don't have nearly enough saved for our retirement. It is nowhere near what it needs to be. And not just because the markets are down and the number is down. That's not what I mean. What I mean is we are not anywhere near where we need to be. And that is an overwhelming thought for me as we are trying to pay down debt and trying to live life and all of that. We have this looming, like, we don't have forever anymore. I don't want to be working for another 20 years. What are we going to do to make sure we don't have to do that? So I'm proud of our $138,000 no matter what. And I am just trying to, we're battling on 3 different fronts right now and trying to, one is saving for our future, one is paying down debt, and the other is trying to get our expenses under control. Not our expenses, our spending. Trying to get our spending under control and make more good decisions than we do bad. So that was our July. Sorry, I kind of got on my soapbox there, but I don't want people to feel discouraged by seeing such a large number and then thinking, they could never possibly do that. It was over and over and over, making more right decisions than wrong ones. And sometimes it's little, it's just a little bit, and it adds up. $138,000 is how it's added up for us. So I hope that your June went well. I hope that your wrap up left you feeling good about the things that you have done. And even if they don't, then just try to, the next time you're faced with the decision, try to make a better decision. And it sounds so simple, and I get how hard that is because we struggle with it on the daily. So if you're new here, welcome to the Budget Bounce. This is it. This is real life. We are talking about how hard things are, as well as all the good things that are happening. So I wish you guys all the best, and I am recording this right before the 4th of July, so happy Independence Day to those in the US, and I will see you guys next time.